Croeso, hello, welcome to Rob, Ryan, Red, the Wrexham podcast brought to you in association with Red 10 People Development, and welcome to the Big Fat Quiz of 2024 Wrexham AFC, another promotion edition. I'm Rich Fair, I'm joined by the Palmer to my Mullin, the Joey to my Mickey, the Parky to my Parkin, the salt to my pepper. Nath, how you doing? Merry Christmas. I guess the first question is, what day is it? I've lost count.
That's probably the only answer that I don't know in this quiz, and I wrote it, all the others. So no, I think it's what day is it now? Friday when we record this? Saturday? I don't even know. But I'm doing well. I had a good Christmas. Thank you very much for that introduction. Probably the nicest thing you've ever said to me. So how are you doing? You must be in festive cheer because that won't last for long.
Oh yeah, it's delirium. That's what it is. It's not me being nice to you. Don't worry about that. It's just it must be the festivities taking their toll on me. I've had a few Wrexham lagers, and yeah, I'm in good spirits. And we're recording this after the Blackpool game. We'll get into proper match analysis in the weeks ahead. As you know, this is a one-off podcast to look back on another spectacular year of Wrexham AFC. So thank you if you're listening on the audio version as always, and if not, maybe one of those to watch on YouTube if you've got the chance as well. With, like we said, trying to grow the platform over there. So a first shout out to try follow us on YouTube if any of the platforms. Rob, Ryan, Red. You can watch along, you play along, and if you're listening to the audio version, yeah, thank you as well. It is hugely appreciated wherever you're tuning in from across the world. As with last year, and some of you have joined along the way, we're very grateful for those of you who have. 52 questions, one for each week of the year, not necessarily in chronological order. Last year, people said some of the questions were too hard, so we've given you multiple choice now. Again, it'll probably get streamlined for next year, where there'll be a combination. But this year, we'll give you a question, 4 possible answers. Myself and Nath will then talk for about 10, 15 seconds between each question before moving on to the next one. Play along at home, see how many you get, and we will give you the answers at the very end. Once again, though, a shout out to watch this on YouTube. We're getting an actual video editor to hopefully do it. So Nathan's production values.
So maybe we look good for once. Maybe we actually look. Maybe it all looks very glamorous and not just whatever I've cobbled together. So who knows? But if you're listening, like I say, Spotify, we know lots of you listen on there, and Apple Podcasts. Get your pen and paper ready. Myself and Rich are going to alternate the questions. It should be fun. It'll be a good test to see how much you've remembered. A year's a long time in the world of Wrexham. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on with the quiz.
I see a podcast called Rob, Ryan, Red. It ends with Nathan Salt and Rich Bird.
Nath, should we kick off then with, I guess, the most logical place to start? Who scored the first goal for Wrexham of 2024? Like I said, multiple choice. Was it Paul Mullin, Elliot Lee, Stephen Fletcher, or Andy Cannon? I think that's a tough one. I think that's going to catch a lot of people out, isn't it? Because
look, the 5 was it a 5-goal thriller against Barrow? That's the clue. So that was the opening game of the season. Who scored the first goal? So that should get. I think I was watching the 1% Club, Rich, recently over Christmas, and I think that's probably on the easier end of our version of that game. So
I think in terms of Wrexham sort of fans, it's a 90% question. I would expect you to do that.
I think so. Okay, so question 2. You got your pens and paper at the ready. Question 2. Only 2 players scored in the Carabao Cup for Wrexham this season. Who are they?
This year
in the Carabao Cup, only 2 players scored.
It's good when the person who wrote the quiz forgets it's the Big Fat Quiz of the year.
I'm sleepy now. So is it A, Will Boyle and Ollie Rathbone? Is it B, Will Boyle, Seb Revan? Is it C, Ollie Rathbone and Dan Scarr? Or is it D, Ollie Palmer and Elliot Lee? 4 options. 2 of those, or one answer, 2 of those players scored for Wrexham in the Carabao Cup this year.
Yeah, again, that's. I think people will start getting that one, but again, that's quite forgettable, I suppose, in terms of all the ones that we've played. And I think once you remember what the game was, the answers might come to you. But
sure.
Let us know what you think of that one. Moving on then. Speaking of cup competitions, question 3. Elliot Lee got into a verbal joust with Shrewsbury captain Tom Flanagan. This is way back at the start of the year. What comment from Flanagan irked Elliot Lee? Did he call Wrexham players big-time Charlies? Did he call Wrexham arrogant? Did he refer to Wrexham as semi-professional footballers? Or did he refer to Wrexham as non-league football players? Of course, this is from Wrexham's FA Cup meeting with Shrewsbury earlier in the year. A very memorable away day. And yeah, Elliot Lee wasted no time post-match to rub further salt into the wounds of the Slops.
That was very enjoyable. That was going back through that. I very much enjoyed that little verbal altercation, especially when you've won, and going there and winning was, one of the great away days. So it was as fun off the pitch for multiple reasons, as we just outlined, as it was on the pitch. But question 4, how many games did Anthony Ford play for Wrexham in 2024? Is it A, 5, B, 6, C, 7, or D8? Not many for Anthony Ford.
I was going to say, if anyone at home is like, I obviously knew this, I was like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. I'm not sure Anthony Ford can remember how many games he played this year. It's
be good. Yeah. I don't think Anthony Ford knows how many games he's played this year, so it'd be good if he's playing along. He's got one of the answers is right there of those 4.
And of course, not registered at the moment. It'd be interesting to see if that changes in January. Again, we will talk about transfers, talk about squad registration rules on the next edition of Rob and Red, which will be out in a week's time. That'll be after Barnsley pre-Peterborough, I think.
We don't even. We'll see. It'll be soon enough. See. It might even be after Port Vale, but we'll soon find out.
That's true, actually. Question 5. Which former Man City youngster did Wrexham sign this year? Josh Adam, Harry Dean, Brad Foster, or Matty James? Which former Man City youngster did Wrexham sign this year?
Little time to think about it, but I'll move on. While you're thinking about that one should be an easy one. That might be one of the kindest ones we've given you so far. So question 6. After how many seconds did Wrexham concede against Barrow in the opening game of the year? Was it A, 28 seconds, B, 32 seconds, C, 34 seconds, or D, 36 seconds? We already asked you in question 1 for who scored the first Wrexham goal of 2024. But Wrexham actually fell behind in that opening game to Barrow. How many seconds did it take for Barrow to take the lead?
Boreham Wood-esque, wasn't it, the way we conceded in that game? And again, at the time, that was a massive clash. It's probably about second versus third, there or thereabouts. Barrow were really going high, and they looked like one of the teams who could have got automatic promotion. So yeah, that was another match in which Wrexham showed their credentials to come from behind. Question 7. Sadly, Wrexham lost a club legend this year. Arthur Massey passed away. How old was he when he passed away? Was he 99, 100, 101, or 102? Wrexham, one of the greatest fans, one of the most recognisable fans, people who've watched Welcome to Wrexham, people who've followed the club will recognise Arthur Massey. And yeah, we wanted to honour him in the podcast. And yeah, how old was he when he passed away? 99, 100, 101, or 102?
Question 8. Who was Wrexham's first summer signing in 2024? Was it A, Lewis Brunt, B, George Dobson, C, Arthur Okonkwo, or D, Dan Scarr? So Wrexham obviously made plenty of moves in the summer. Who was the first through the door? Phil Parkinson.
That's a difficult one. I'm so bad at sort of. I seem to remember Sean Brisley was the first signing of a summer once. Was he Parky's first signing at Wrexham? Sean Brisley. He
was. That's probably in our previous quizzes, but yeah, he was the first. He was the first signing of the Phil Parkinson era, I believe. So there you go. But we're not looking for Sean Brisley. We're looking for the first summer signing from this past summer. A, Lewis Brunt, B, George Dobson, C, Arthur Okonkwo, or D, Dan Scarr.
Right, question 9. Only one player scored in Wrexham's penalty shootout defeat to Port Vale. Who was it? I think was this Bristol Street Motors still before it got changed to
it was it
Trophy,
before it got changed. The Bristol Street
Motors.
That's not one of the
questions. So who scored the only goal for Wrexham in the shootout defeat? Was it Paul Mullin, Ollie Rathbone, Mo Farl, or Anthony Ford? Wrexham lost to Port Vale
Yeah,
on penalties.
it wasn't a very good shootout, that, and only one player scored for us in the shootout. So, which one of those players? We've had better days on penalties, most notably the FA Trophy final when Johnny Hunt slots it away many years ago. That's probably... Have we had a better penalty shootout since then? Dean Keats missed one against
That was
Brighton.
Brighton,
In the FA Cup.
replay.
We haven't had a great deal from
even...
penalty shootouts, so I can't think of many good ones, but there you go. That one wasn't a great one, but one player did score. Richard's read out the options. Paul Mullin, Ollie Rathbone, Mo Farl, and Anthony Ford. Right, question 10. Wrexham actually put out an advert this year trialling for ball kids, the people you see around the pitch to chuck the ball back to the players. What was the term they used when advertising for the role? Was it A, ball children, B, ball people, C, ball retrievers, or D, ball getters?
Yeah, I mean,
move swiftly on. That is
enough
the question.
innuendo in that already.
There you go. Move swiftly on.
It's a very dangerous sort of pathway we could tread
Move
if we go
swiftly
down
on,
that.
Richard, I would say.
Hot topic. I think, like we said, if we're doing the 1% club, I think this is another 90% question. Sam Dolby has thrived on loan in the second half of the year. At which Scottish team is he playing? Is he at Dundee, Dundee United, Dunfermline, or Dumbarton? I almost said Dunkirk then, which reminds me of... I once got really told off in a history lesson because I wasn't really paying attention. And my history teacher asked me where Dunkirk was. And I tried to be a clever dick. I was like, well, it's obviously Scotland, isn't it? Because it's a combination of Falkirk and Dumbarton. Bad times.
Yes, I actually bumped into my history teacher outside the My School Inn recently. So, Mr. Goodchild, yeah, thank you very much.
The last time I saw my history teacher was at the Grimsby anniversary match 10 years ago. Wrexham's 150th anniversary.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, that's enough of our rendezvous and meeting up with history teachers of years gone by. What question are we on now? Question 12. A question that's close to my heart, given I got into a lot of trouble for it. But which player did Wrexham release only to find out their contract was still running? Obviously well known that Wrexham had a bit of an issue with one of the players they thought they'd got rid of. But it turns out that they were still under contract. Was it A, Aaron Hayden, B, Jordan Davis, C, Jordan Tunnicliffe, or D, Callum McFadzean? One of those players was released and was actually still under contract before it was settled via mediation. Who was the player?
Yeah, I think anyone who's listened to our podcast will be well averse with that story. Wrexham famously had a fan chant as well this year, Nath, that drew criticism from Super Paul Mullin. This was towards the tail end of the 23-24 campaign. Which Wrexham fan chant did Paul Mullin openly criticise? Was it A, Town Away, I Like It, B, Never Win Away, C, Superstar from Solihull, or D, He's Electric? Which one of those chants drew criticism from Super Paul Mullin this year?
That became such a big story when I was looking back. There was actually the amount of people that reacted and spoke about that. I guess row, so to speak.
Spat, I'd call it.
Is that what you call it? Is that spat? We're getting into football
I'd say
cliches
regional
territory.
Journalism would call it a spat, yeah.
Spat, row, spat. Okay. Well, that spat took on a life of its own, maybe given Paul Mullin's fame now. But yes, that was an interesting time as we were gearing up for another promotion. Question 14. So hopefully you're doing quite well so far. I reckon maybe only a couple of mistakes so far. If you've been really following, I think you can do well. You've done well so far. But question 14. Wrexham's impressive under-18s team saw their FA Youth Cup run this season ended by which side? So the under-18s have been flying in the league and in the cup, the FA Youth Cup, but they were knocked out fairly recently. Was it A, against Tranmere Rovers, B, Lincoln City, C, York City, or D, Grimsby Town? I mean, on WhatsApp, Rich, I was planning the route to the final for Wrexham's youngsters before they got knocked out. So hopefully next year we've got a good group of youngsters coming through, work on the academy, but it wasn't to be. They lost to one of those teams. A, Tranmere, B, Lincoln, C, York, or D, Grimsby.
Now, another one of my favourite tales of 2024. Accrington owner Andy Holt was fuming with Wrexham for doing what when they played Accrington Stanley at the racecourse back in March? A. Wrexham refused to let him into the ground. B. Wrexham cut Accrington's allocation for the match. C. Wrexham reduced ticket prices for the match. Or D. They closed the toilets and the food kiosks in the away end. Now, of course, anyone who remembers that first trip to Accrington early in that season, which was 2023, there's your clue.
Is that spat or is that row or is that full-blown war? I mean, it was a mix. It felt like a mix.
I think that's full blown war.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of those. That was like the Paul Mullen boot story in terms of it kind of went like national, didn't it? It went.
Yeah.
It was on sort of Talk Sport. It was on the Red Tops. It was on a lot of websites trying to get traction to it, and it caused a lot of debate as well. I think there are, it really did sort of divide not only the Wrexham fan base, but divided just football in general, really, on what's morally right to do in those situations. So yeah. Interesting one.
Well, look, we couldn't have a quiz without having Andy Holt in there somewhere. But back to a much more cheery affair. Question 16. Who scored the final goal when Wrexham beat Forest Green Rovers 6-0 to seal promotion to League One? Was it A, Jack Marriott, B, Ryan Barnett, C, Paul Mullin, or D, Elliot Lee? So 6-0 rout of Forest Green. We both missed it. You, me, Ryan Reynolds, and Rob McElhenney all got our planning wrong, and we all missed it.
All as part-timers.
The armchair fans, mate, all four of us. And really, apparently everyone was really gutted that two of those didn't come, and I'll leave it up to your imagination which two they were disappointed weren't there.
The two have done the most for the club. That's it.
That's up for debate, Lee. We're going to leave that up to.
Question 17. Rob McElhenney hosted which member of the UK royal family in Wrexham this year? Was it King Charles, King Carlo, Queen's Consort Camilla, Prince William, or here's a clue, it wasn't Prince Andrew, that's what Nathan's put down as an option. There's a freebie. Now that would be a scandal. Imagine if that happened.
I couldn't resist. I was like going through and I thought, can I just put him as one of the answers? Yeah, fine, can do. If you want to pick that anyway, just to be wrong, just because you can, go for it. But it's not D, but D is Prince Andrew, if you want to pick that. I'd completely forgotten about that in fairness. And I think a lot of people, obviously, no fan of the royal family. Maybe you've forgotten about that visit back around March time. It was around the time the Andy Holt war was going on. See if you can remember. The clue is they pulled a pint in the turf with Rob. Okay, question 18. Who was Wrexham's first pre-season opponent? So the men's team, who was their first pre-season opponent in 2024? Was it A, Halesowen Town? Was it B, Henley Town, C, Hanley Town, or D, Harborough Town? So it was a hastily arranged game. Yeah, it was a tough one. I mean, they all sound very similar, deliberately, the answers. So see if you can remember. I did go. I got soaked, stood on a grassy hill, and Wrexham looked like world beaters. Who was it against?
They've proven themselves to be world beaters lately as well. Again, crazy to think how this year has ended and where Wrexham are on the table, considering maybe what our ambitions were, like I said, on that first pre-season match. Question 19. George Evans, gorgeous George, the lesser spotted George Evans, was shown a straight red card during one match in 2024. Who was the opposition for that game? Was it Crawley Town, Colchester United, Crewe Alexandra, or Burton Albion? Which game did George Evans see red and get sent off?
I saw gorgeous George warming up he wasn't in the squad, but he was warming up before Bristol Rovers, Rich. And I can confirm, I know you weren't there, but he was looking as glamorous and as pristine as ever. You'd have been proud. You'd have been proud.
I'm very proud of him.
He was looking very, very good. So there you go. George Evans, straight red card. Now here's one about the COP. Question 20. What is the name of the company that is now looking after the COP redevelopment? So obviously plans have changed. There's a new company looking after it now. Is it A, Populous, B, Popular, C, AFL Architects, or D, Stadia Design? So who is in charge now of the COP redevelopment plan? 20 questions already, Rich. I wonder how people are getting on.
Yeah, I wonder how you're getting on again. Maybe wherever you're up to, if you're watching on YouTube, pause it when we get to the halfway mark shortly. Let us know what you've scored there and maybe come back at the full-time whistle and see what you achieved by the end. But yeah, I think the multiple choice gives people a chance at least, doesn't it? If they're a bit hesitant or don't have an idea on some of them. Right, next question. I expect full marks on this one as well. Wrexham took the lead away to Blackburn Rovers in the FA Cup this year. Who scored the Wrexham goal to send us into delirium at Ewood Park? Was it A, Paul Mullin, B, Jack Marriott, C, Andy Cannon, or D, Owen O'Connell? Wrexham against Blackburn Rovers. What could have been another cup run that sadly did come to an end.
I'm just glad we got. I'm just glad. That is the main thing. That is all that matters. I'm just glad we got the first goal there because you did at least get the limbs before. You do get the moment. Yeah. It's not like you were 4-0 down and then you get one consolation. You did get that feeling of it could be our year. And talking of cup nostalgia, I was thinking back to when Paul Mullin scored that penalty away at Sheffield United and the belief we had at that point. Anyway, moving swiftly on because that didn't go well. Question 22. Billy Waters has been sent out on 2 loans this year. He's currently at Halifax Town, but which other team did he go on loan to? Is it A, Doncaster Rovers, B, Torquay United, C, Southend United, or D, Forest Green Rovers? So Billy Waters still under contract with Wrexham, but he's been shipped out left and right on loan. Halifax and who?
Yeah, interesting one. Again, someone who you can forget is a Wrexham player at times, can't you? And still, like you said, on the books. Question 23. How many Emmy Awards did Welcome to Wrexham win this year? Did it win 4, 6, 8, or 10? Right. And obviously, we come from a Wrexham rose-tinted glasses sort of perspective, but there's a lot of love for the documentary outside of the Wrexham family as well. The award-winning documentary that transcends football, about community, about everything, about family. It covers so many serious topics. It has the lightheartedness as well. But yeah, how many Emmy Awards did it pick up this year?
And the clue for that one is that there were 2 Emmy Awards ceremonies in 2024. One was delayed because of the writers' strike, so that took place in January, and there was the normal one in September. So 2 award ceremonies. How many did Wrexham get across both of them? That should be a bit of a helping hand. But question 24, you should know this one. You shouldn't need any clues. Wrexham broke their transfer record, went on to be broken again, but broke their transfer record to sign Ollie Rathbone. Where did they sign Ollie Rathbone from? Is it A, Blackpool, B, Derby County, C, West Brom, or D, Rotherham? So Ollie Rathbone started to come into his own now, Rich. I have to say, I thought he was very, very good again against Blackpool the other day. He's just an energy. He's just an energizer, isn't he? He's like an energy bunny, the Duracell bunny. He's taken the role of a James Jones or previously a Luke Young.
Yeah, a player who, again, as we say almost every week on this podcast, sort of proves that the transfer team do know what they're doing at times, and they splashed a lot of money on him. And at first, it looked like it was questionable, but right now you can see exactly what he's got to offer in a player who, whichever league we're in next year, by the end of it, you'll see being an integral part of the team. An easier one again now for those of you who are eagle-eyed and been paying attention lately. Which company became the new back of shirt sponsor replacing Vistaprint in 2024? Is it A, M&S Food, B, HP, C, MetaQuest, or D, Coca-Cola? Which one of those companies is the new back of shirt sponsor on the current set of Wrexham kits?
And then for the first half of the quiz, to round us out, question 26. And you can, when you're quizzing, Rich, before I get into question 26, when you're quizzing, you've got some right. You just know. When you're doing these pub quizzes, you've nailed them. Some of them are a bit more difficult, understand. Anthony Ford's appearance total, probably one of them. But question 26 is a good test of your summer knowledge. Roger Espinoza, Maynard Figueroa, George Boyd, Elliot Bennett, Bradley Johnson, and Gary Hooper all played for Wrexham at TST in the summer. But which other former player is missing? Is it A, Hugo Rodiega, B, Giles Coke, C, Emmanuel Abue, or D, Lee Trundle? So obviously a tournament, TST, that got a lot of attention. Wrexham did end up getting to the knockout stages. You fill it with former pros. One of them is missing from the names I read out. So who is it? And that is 26 questions out of our 52 question quiz.
Yeah, it's time for your halftime oranges. Time for a glass of Wrexham lager, maybe 4 Walls whiskey, aviation gin. We will plug anything on this podcast. Seriously, if you do want us to plug it, we will. As always, at the halfway stage, shout out to Red 10 People Development. Shout out to Hypnotic for the music that Stings use in the show. And if you are only listening, get over to YouTube, play along over there. There's some good visuals, hopefully, to accompany the quiz as well. And yeah, round 2 of the quiz is coming up right after this.
Right, Rich, 27, episode 27, question 27. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney hold a stake in which Mexican team? So they're branching out now as part of consortium, but the Mexican team, what is the name of that team? Is it La Igualdad, B, Tigres, C, Pachuca, or D, Necaxa? So La Igualdad, Tigres, Pachuca, or Necaxa? One of those has a stake from the R.R. Reynolds company.
Guess which one of us does Duolingo Spanish as well. That can be a bonus question if you want. There is no way I was going to be asking that one. Do you want to say the first team again, just because you seem to love it so much?
La Igualdad.
Wow. Ladies.
Wow. Basically fluent. Basically.
Yeah. Mine, I will try and nail the pronunciation of this as well. Question 28. Gresford Colliery Disaster Remembrance shirts sold at auction this year. How much money did they raise? You remember the Wrexham men and women's team both wore those shirts with the Gresford commemorative sort of logo on them. They were then auctioned off. Did they raise £10,000, £20,000, £40,000, or £50,000? I would love to have got my hands on one of them.
So would I.
They were such lovely tributes and raising money for such a good cause as well. Who knows? Maybe some of our listeners did. It wouldn't surprise me if a few of our listeners have them in their possession right now. How much did they pay? 10, 20, 40, or 50,000?
Well, look, question 29 is a quote, and I want you to tell me who said this. We've got to keep that humbleness, not only in the squad, but in the supporters as well. So after Wrexham got promoted, who said this? Is it Sean Harvey? Is it Rob McElhenney? Is it Phil Parkinson? Or is it Owen O'Connell? We've got to keep that humbleness, not only in the squad, but in the supporters as well.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those, you can imagine all of them saying it, can't you, for different reasons.
That's why I put them as the answers. There you go.
It's a very good question, that one. Another tricky one. And this as well, this next question, question 30, is another tricky one because it's I know this is like every quiz question in the world. I was going to say you either know it or you don't. That is kind of the whole point of a quiz. But question 30, United Airlines rewarded Wrexham fans by giving away a free scarf to every fan at a home game back in March. Who were the opponents for that game? Was it Morecambe, Forest Green, Accrington Stanley or Notts County? Which one of those games did many of our listeners, many of you Wrexham fans, pick up your free United Airlines scarf?
I still have mine rooting around in the drawer. I think one even went on eBay for an insane amount. So I also think, was there a story that one player was maybe collecting any ones that weren't? Let's not get into that. Actually, let's just move swiftly along. But I think one player might have been collecting some leftover scarves and adding them to an eBay collection.
Not going with Callum McFadzean's medal collection, is it?
That's an unconfirmed medal collection from Callum McFadzean, but yeah,
Okay.
alleged Callum McFadzean. Yeah, we're gonna. Oh well, if he wants to get the Big Fat Quiz of the Year shut down, he can be Scrooge this year, I'm sure. Question 31. Paul Mullin celebrated one of his goals this year by wearing a Welsh Pool or Deadpool mask. However you look at it, who was the opponent? Was it A, Salford City, B, Wolves' under-21s, C, Port Vale, or D, Burton Albion? Quite an iconic moment. Mullin scores, puts on the mask, and then gives it the big celebration, which irked basically every fan of every other team in the UK and beyond. So it's one of my favourite celebrations of the year because of that. Who was the opponent?
Yeah, it's a shame one of the questions isn't how many pints of piss did Wrexham borrow this year, because
I probably couldn't have added
gallons
that
and
up.
gallons of the stuff.
I couldn't have added that up, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it could be equated, actually, and I wouldn't want to do the job myself. Question 32. As part of his Deadpool Wolverine press tour, Ryan Reynolds scored a penalty at which famous international football stadium? You might remember this superb technique. He uploaded that, I think, onto Instagram, didn't he? Was it at Wembley Stadium, Alliance Arena, or the Allianz, however you want to pronounce it, the Maracanã, or La Bombonera? Where did Ryan Reynolds score his stupendous Paul Mullen-esque penalty kick?
It's an unbelievable penalty as well. Like, if you haven't seen it, go and find it. I think it's on his Instagram.
He would have scored in that penalty shootout defeat to Port Vale, wouldn't he?
He would have, with that technique, he'd have scored. So more Ryan Reynolds penalties, please. Question 33. We'll motor this along a bit. Luke McNicholas was sent out on loan to which club in the 2024-25 season? Was it A, Oldham Athletic, B, Rochdale, C, Guiseley, or D, Altrincham? So Luke McNicholas out on loan. Which club is he at? Oldham, Rochdale, Guiseley, or Altrincham?
Again, one of those players who, if he'd stayed, he'd be playing every week now, wouldn't
Right,
he? It says Mark Howard. Fair play to Mark Howard for doing the job he's been doing in the first team. But those sliding doors moments of football, it's crazy how much can change in all that. And there's some great examples in history. And he might deep down be wishing he'd stayed, because, like I say, he'd be playing every week now for Wrexham in League One. Question 34. This is another question it's difficult. Aaron Hayden left Wrexham this summer. How many goals did he score in total for the club? Did he score 5, 10, 15, or 20? Aaron Hayden. He wears a magic hat. How many goals did he score for Wrexham? Not this calendar year. That's just in his entire Wrexham
career. In his entire Wrexham career, look, he was clearly a goal.
If he scored 20 goals from centre-back in this calendar year and then got released, there would be some serious questions asked.
It reminds me of that time that we released Chris Westwood after he'd got Player of the Season.
Don't, because I was
came
so
back
angry with Alfreton Town and scored a last-minute winner in a 3-2 defeat. That is peak Wrexham. Releasing your Player of the Season, him going to a smaller club and then scoring. It's like a 94th minute winner in front of the tech end.
I remember Chris Westwood helped me out with my A-level media project once. But anyway, let's not get sidetracked.
Help the camera, or what did he do?
No, he did the interview. I did a big interview on Chris Westwood, so he gave up some time at Colliers.
I did mine with with Mark Carrington.
There you go. So players of legends of the club, we'll say. Okay, question 35. Lewis Brunt has a dressing room nickname, and it's based on which animated film character? Is it A, Squidward from SpongeBob SquarePants? Is it B, Sid the Sloth from Ice Age? Is it C, Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story? Or is it D, Scrappy Doo from Scooby-Doo? So that is Lewis Brunt. He has a nickname that has followed him all season long Which one of those is it?
Question 36. In February, Wrexham women signed a former Liverpool and Wolves player. Who did they sign? Was it A. Erin Lovett, B. Ava Suckley, or C. Brooke Cairns?
I also just realised I didn't put a D there, so you've got only
One in three chance.
Or D. Richard Fay. There you go. There you go. It's one of those. I got tired when I was making the quiz. I've just put 3 on that one, so less options. But there you go. One of those. Erin Lovett, Ava Suckley, Brooke Cairns. I'm moving swiftly on. 37. Question 37. Paul Mullin scored his 100th Wrexham goal against Colchester United when there was the spat, as Rich called it, over the chant. Who got the assist for Mullin's 100th landmark goal? Was it A. Elliot Lee, B. Ollie Palmer, C. Ryan Barnett, or D. James McLean?
Another one of those horrible away days, wasn't it, Colchester United? The type of game that similarly kind of like Bristol Rovers. Like
it was great. It was great though when Max got the winner. Like what a moment as well. What a goal.
But again,
yes.
like I said, there's just something in this sort of Wrexham DNA. They're the sort of games I never back us in.
Right.
Do you mean a game where you'd say on a video game we'd go there and win 5-6-0? It just doesn't work like that, and sort of in reality. But Mullin coming up clutch as well, and then because Max for that goal as well to get us over the line. Question 38. Wrexham joined which international body in 2024? Was it A, the European Team Association, B, the European Club Association, C, the European League Association, or D, the European Disney Association?
I mean, that is tough, except for one of those answers is blatantly wrong. But
yeah, it's also one of those questions where I think it's a guess, isn't it? I wouldn't have been able to answer that one.
It's tough, but that's what it's meant to be. The quizzes are meant to be tough. I don't want you to get them all right. So there you go. 4 options. Hint, it's not the European Disney Association. Question 39. Who did Wrexham face in their final pre-season game ahead of the 24-25 season? So we've already asked you who was the first pre-season opponent, but who was their final pre-season game against? Was it A, Solihull Moors, B, Fleetwood Town, C, Derby County, or D, Walsall? So one of those teams came to the racecourse before we teed off against Wycombe Wanderers on the opening day. Who was it? And important, Rich, as well, because I think that was a Parky request that we can't just come back off the US tour and go straight into the season after the MK Dons debacle. So this was quite a key game. It wasn't pretty, and there was a little bit of a James McLean row in it at the end. But, quite important to get the ring rust out.
Yeah, and again, it's paid dividends this season, hasn't it, compared to how the League 2 campaign started. The juxtaposed sort of the League 1 campaign is quite startling. Question 40. Wrexham were fined for failing to control their players at the end of their defeat to Birmingham City back in September. How much were Wrexham fined? A, £2,500, B, £3,750, C, £4,830, or D, £7,500. Again, another one of those questions that if anyone knows that off the top of their head, I ain't buying it. I ain't believing it. But yeah, Wrexham.
Rich, the correct answer is there in front of you. It's one of those options, and that game became a bit of a, I don't want to say farce, but it definitely became very spicy at the end there. A bit of a circus at the end there. Obviously, McLean goes off. He's getting, a completely unwarranted dog's abuse, really, as he goes, and someone chucks a bovril at him. And then there's that thing with Mullin, and has he tried to bite somebody's leg? He obviously hasn't tried to bite, but it looks like he has. Then there was a red card late on. It was just total chaos. Anyway, both teams were fined, but Wrexham were fined how much? Question 41. the superstar from Solihull, Ryan Barnett, produced 3 assists against which team this season? Was it A, Shrewsbury Town, B, Exeter City, C, Northampton Town, or D, Reading? All games where Wrexham scored multiple goals. Ryan Barnett produced 3 assists in one of those games and got a standing ovation. Which team was it against?
Again, it's one of those questions where all those matches, they had distinguishing factors, but they, in my mind, they all sort of merge into one. I find it very difficult sometimes to recollect which opposition certain things happened against. So that's a tricky one. Could catch a few people out. Question number 42. What piece of Wrexham merchandise was sent to Dolly Parton by the chairman in the summer? Was it A, a Wrexham scarf, B, a Wrexham shirt, C, a Wrexham cowboy hat, or was it D, a Wrexham mug? When we talk about on the podcast every week, we almost lose count of the celebrities that have been spotted at Wrexham games or have a connection to the club now. Dolly Parton's another one. I completely forgot this ever happened.
Yeah, so did I, until I was going back, and I thought maybe I could put in the question about, Eli, when Wrexham recruited Eli Manning to go against Tom Brady and that whole thing. But I thought, Dolly Parton is huge, a global icon, and she owns a piece of Wrexham merch. So that was good enough for me. What piece of merch is it? And if you remember that, if you can picture the video that she did, you obviously know the piece of merch straight away. Question 43, on the home straight now. Question 43. Wrexham women summer tour of the US saw them play Tigres under-19s, Portland Academy, and which other team? Was it A, a US women's team, B, SoCal FC, C, Angel City, or D, Houston Dash? It's obviously a historic summer for the women's team. They got to go over to the US. I think Ally, hope they got that right. They were sponsoring it to get them over there. Unbelievable experience, even if there was a bit of a to-do over flowers and cactuses, and you all know that story by now.
That's a quote you should include in the quiz.
That's what I probably should have done, but I thought, let's not pour petrol back onto that fire as the final embers burn. But they played 3 teams. Portland Academy was one of them. Tigres under-19s were the other. And there was one more, which I've just listed. US Women, SoCal FC, Angel City, or Houston Dash. One of them played against Wrexham.
Yeah, 44. Which words did Rotenet mind? Name the family that has taken a minority stake in Wrexham in 2024. Was it the Allen family, the Elgin family, the Freeman family, or the Taylor family? Which family has invested in Wrexham as they look to go beyond the sort of movie star money as it was initially put, I think, in the documentary? If Wrexham want to get to the Championship, maybe even the Premier League, we'll be losing a lot of money along the way. Who's put their investment into the club?
I'm expecting 99% on that one. You should be getting that one right. That was a huge story of late, fairly recent as well, so we're not asking you to rack your brains too much. Another recent story, this is a very feel-good story. Question 45. Liverpool's first team, including Mo Salah, Van Dijk, Curtis Jones, Diogo Jota, went to visit a Wrexham fan in Alderhay Hospital. Who is the fan? What was the fan's name? Is it A, Alid, B, Archie, C, Alex, or D, Arthur? Love this story, Rich. What a great kid. Facing unbelievable adversity, and his parents as well, going through a really tough time at Christmas. And, to have the Wrexham team come in, Ollie Palmer, Paul Mullin, FaceTime from Rob McElhenney, FaceTime from Ryan Reynolds, and to also wind the Liverpool lads up that he wasn't going to betray his beloved Wrexham, and they're going into a room full of Wrexham stuff. Big smile on my face at that. So who was the fan in question?
Yeah, absolute legend. Fair play. Yeah, great. And again, great to see the power of football, really, and what people can do. I mean, they don't ask to be role models all the time, footballers, but to see them all come across so genuinely and give their time up and help him in that fight is fantastic. Question 46. Which player was appointed Wrexham captain for the 24-25 season? Was it A, James McLean, B, Owen O'Connell, C, Paul Mullin, or D, Arthur Okonkwo? Who is the current Wrexham captain? I think we had a lot of debate, didn't we, once Luke Young left? About,
We did.
And Bentos, of course, about who would take the armband officially. And yeah, it was a debate we had fiercely, I think, on the podcast, didn't we? I think we came up with a sort of 4 or 5 man shortlist of contenders, though. It's a lot of leaders in this Wrexham team.
We had a big, I don't know whether we were in spat, row, or full war territory. I think probably not. Maybe on spat of positions that I felt like a goalkeeper was appropriate. You did not feel like a goalkeeper was appropriate. I wasn't necessarily sure a striker was appropriate. It was a whole thing. You can find, if you've listened to all the episodes, or you can find it on Instagram. I think there's a reel there, TikTok, etc., etc. So, who is the current Wrexham captain? That's pretty straightforward, even though a few of those have worn the armband at some stage this season. Question 47, last few now. Rob McElhenney put an offer on the table for which retired Premier League star this year? Was it A, Wayne Rooney, B, Gareth Bale, C, Hal Robson-Kanu, or D, Wes Morgan? So one of those 4 pitched to come to Wrexham. They didn't have an offer made to them, but one of those pitched to come to Wrexham, while Rob McElhenney made an offer, a plea, if you will, to another if they were coming to Wrexham, which they didn't, but the offer was on the table in 2024.
It's probably still on the table in 2025 as well.
It probably is.
Question 48. Again, another question to see just who is paying the most attention to Wrexham's usual sort of press releases more than the club affairs. But question 48, Wrexham hired a new head of communications this year. What is their name? Is it A, Michael Williamson? I was going to say Mike Williamson, they went Michael. It went Michael. Michael Williamson. B, Brad Foster. C, Rob Faulkner. Or D, Will Pritchard. Who is the new head of communications at Wrexham Football Club?
The thing is, if you get full marks on this, and you,
we just don't believe you.
I mean that one is obviously gettable. Don't get me wrong, but if
gettable,
they're all gettable because the answers are all there. But if you come away and say you knew them all without needing multiple choice, because that was the big thing last year, people moaned that they didn't have multiple choice. So if multiple people come and say they got full marks, I just don't believe you. I'm sorry, that's harsh. I don't believe you. I'm the quizmaster, and I do not believe you because I wouldn't have got half of these if I hadn't written them. Question 49. I got 2 more to read out. Richard's got 2 more. Question 49. Danny DeVito recently watched Wrexham at Cosm in LA. Who was the opponent that he saw Wrexham defeat? Was it A, Bolton Wanderers, B, Birmingham City, C, Barnsley, or D, Wycombe Wanderers? One of my favourite moments, Rich, a video of Danny DeVito offering out high fives as Wrexham score a last-minute goal to beat one of those 4 teams I've just read out. So, yeah, highlight.
Wrexham 2024. Which celebrity will we talking about this time next year in the next quiz? It's crazy, isn't it? And speaking of celebrities, that brings us on to question 50. Which of these celebrities did not watch Wrexham at the racecourse in 2024? That's the key question there. They might have watched us elsewhere, but who did not attend a match in North Wales this calendar year? A, Channing Tatum. B, Eva Longoria. C, Blake Lively. Or D, Brendan Sklenar.
Tricky.
Didn't?
I mean, they've all been to watch Wrexham. So one didn't go this year though. So you can pick out who didn't go this year. This is a good one, Rich. The next one, question 51. Then you got the final one. Question 51. Rotherham boss Steve Evans likened Wrexham to which sporting entity before they played this season? Did he describe Wrexham as A, Real Madrid, B, Harlem Globetrotters, C, the LA Lakers, or D, the New York Yankees?
Didn't call us Oil Money Wrexham, no?
No, he didn't. He likened us to one of these great teams, franchises, whatever you want to call it. So A, Real Madrid, B, the Harlem Globetrotters, C, the LA Lakers, or D, the New York Yankees. And of course, we went and beat Rotherham. So happy days.
Even better. And speaking of that was an away win at Rotherham. Final question of the Big Fat Quiz, Wrexham 2024. What was Wrexham's final away game of 2024? Was it A, Bristol Rovers, B, Burton Albion, C, Port Vale, or D, Stockport County? That's more just a memory. I mean, I know all quizzes are memory, but that is just recent memory, isn't it?
So quizzes are memories, and it's easy if you know it. There you
if
go.
you know the answer.
So why have you not got high scores? But Rich is saying it's easy peasy. There you go. 52 questions. All about Wrexham.
I think most people will be getting at least 40 on that.
What's a good score on that, Rich? Do we think 40?
45 is a good score because there's about 4 or 5 questions that are just, it could be any of them. They are just guesswork on a number.
So 45 we're saying is a good score. And we're going to give you the answers very, very shortly. So 45 is a good score. What we're saying is a bad score. Anything less than 30?
Anything less than 30, yeah. You don't want to be getting half marks, do you?
Anything less than 30, you need to study more. You need to do a bit more work. So
Watch more Wrexham in 2025
Wrexham.
and listen to more Rob Ryan Red.
Please do. Tell people to listen to us as well, because we're not that insufferable, I don't think. 2025, Rich might even get a bit nicer to me. We'll see. We can't promise anything. Rich, kick us off with the answers then, because people are eagerly waiting to mark their cards.
Yeah, once again, thank you very much for doing the quiz if you survived this far, whether it's audio or video. Question 1, who scored the first Wrexham goal of 2024? That was Stephen Fletcher, the chill guy himself. Now, should we do sort of 5 answers each?
Yes, no problem. Speed it up. Go ahead.
Question 2, only 2 players scored in the Carabao Cup for Wrexham this calendar year. Who were they? That was Will Boyle and Seb Revan in our defeat at Bramall Lane, the Sheffield United rematch. Yeah, in the gold kit as well. Question 3. Elliot Lee got into a verbal joust with Shrewsbury captain Tom Flanagan. Which comment irked Elliot Lee? That was Flanagan's claim that they had just lost to semi-professional footballers. Question 4. How many games did Anthony Ford play this year? He played 7 times for Wrexham. And for me, question 5, which former Man City youngster did Wrexham sign? That was Josh Adam.
I think people have done quite well on those 5, Rich. So let's see the next. So I'm on question 6. After how many seconds did Wrexham concede against Barrow in the opening game of the year? The answer was 34 seconds. Maybe you got lucky guessing that one. Maybe you knew it. I'm not sure you did, but we'll see. 34 seconds. Question 7. Arthur Massey passed away this year. How old was he when he passed away? The answer was 100 years old. You remember he got his framed shirt, Humphrey on the pitch. It's a big celebration for a lot of people at the club. Arthur Massey was 100 years old. Who was Wrexham's first summer signing in 2024? That was question 8. The answer, Arthur Okonkwo. Lewis Brunt was the second signing of the summer if you went with him. So Arthur Okonkwo was the first summer signing after he got released by Arsenal. Question 9, only one player scored in Wrexham's shootout defeat to Port Vale. Who scored their penalty? Answer, Paul Mullin. Everyone else had their penalty saved or they missed. And question 10, Wrexham put out an ad this year for trials for ball kids, but what was the term they used for the role? The answer was ball retrievers. Was the term. So there you go. 10 questions down. We're going to keep rattling through because we know we've been chatting for a while. Rich, take us away on the next 5.
Sam Dolby has thrived on loan at which Scottish team? That is Dundee United, still scoring the goals there. Top goal scorer in the SPL at the moment in time. Number 12, which player was released only to find out their contract with Wrexham was still valid? That was Jordan Tunnicliffe. Nathan Salt really annoying the club with that one. Question 13, Paul Mullin criticised fans for singing which chant in 2024? It was Wrexham never win away.
A Wimberway.
A Wimberway. Question 14. Wrexham's impressive under-18s team saw their FA Youth Cup run ended by Lincoln City.
Yeah.
And question 15. Andy Holt was fuming with Wrexham because they reduced ticket prices for Accrington's trip to the racecourse ground. That was in retaliation to Andy Holt putting his ticket prices up when Wrexham went to visit Accrington at the Wham Stadium earlier in the season.
That was a full-blown row. That was a very fun war that we got to see out. And I think we were one of the first to actually flag up that they'd up the prices, but there we go. Question 16. Who scored the final goal when Wrexham beat Forest Green 6-0 to seal promotion? The answer, Jack Marriott. Quite a key goal at the time there. James McLean and Jack Marriott celebration at the end. Jack Marriott with the goal. Question 17. Rob McElhenney hosted which member of the royal family in Wrexham this year? The answer was Prince William, who poured a fairly dodgy-looking pint at the turf. Who was Wrexham's first pre-season opponent? Question 18. The answer, Hanley Town, with an A rather than an E. And question 19. George Evans was shown a straight red card against Colchester United. Very out of character, but Colchester United. George Evans, straight red card. And question 20. What is the name of the company looking after the COP redevelopment? Now, I did try to trick you because one of the answers in there is AFL Architects, but the correct answer is Populous. The Populous have taken over from AFL Architects. A bit fiendish there, but Populous is the answer to question 20.
Question 21. Wrexham took the lead away to Blackburn in the FA Cup. Andy Cannon opened the goal scoring. Billy Waters has been sent out on 2 loans this year. Question 22, this is Halifax Town and Doncaster Rovers. Question 23, how many Emmy Awards did Welcome to Wrexham win? It won 8 Emmy Awards across the 2 ceremonies. Question 24, Wrexham broke their transfers record to sign Ollie Rathbone. They signed him from Rotherham United. And question 25, which company became the new back of shirt sponsor? That is Meta Quest.
Right, let's keep it going. 26. I asked you to name the player that was missing from the TST lineup. Roger Espinosa, Maynor Figueroa, George Boyd, Elliot Bennett, Bradley Johnson, Gary Hooper, and who? The answer was Giles Coke. Probably the most difficult one to remember. Sorry, Giles, but very, very difficult to remember that one. That was question 26. Why do I keep saying episode? Question 26. Question 27. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney hold a stake in Club Nasaka. So Nasaka was the answer we were looking for there in the Mexican team. Question 28. Gresford Colliery Disaster Remembrance shirt sold at auction for how much? 20,000 or just over 20,000 was the answer. So 20,000 was the answer we were looking for. And then question 29 was a quote. Who said this? We've got to keep that humbleness not only in the squad, but in the supporters as well. Very tricky one, but the answer was Phil Parkinson said that quote. And question 30. United Airlines gave away a free scarf to every fan at a home game back in March. Who was the opponent? That was Accrington Stanley.
31. Paul Mullin celebrated his goal against Salford City by wearing a Deadpool mask. Question 32. Ryan Reynolds scored his excellent penalty kick at the Maracanã. Straight down the middle, but it was Mullin versus Mansfield-esque, wasn't it? It was unstoppable.
Great penalty.
Question 33. Luke McNicholas was sent out on loan to Rochdale. I know he's getting rave reviews there, lots of good reports, and clearly proved himself now at National League level. 34. How many goals did Aaron Hayden score for Wrexham before he was released? He scored 20 goals from centre-back, some massive ones as well. What a player. And 35. Lewis Brunt's dressing room nickname is Sid the Sloth.
From Ice Age, yeah. So that's been I think Stephen Fletcher's been the one anointing him with that. So I'm sure he's thrilled with Sid the Sloth. Question 36. In February, Wrexham women signed a former Liverpool and Wolves player. What is her name? Brooke Cairns. So if anyone picked option D, Richard Fay, you are wrong on that one, I'm afraid. Not yet. Rich doesn't play for Wrexham women quite yet. Question 37. Paul Mullin scored his 100th Wrexham goal against Colchester United, but who got the assist? That was Ryan Barnett, a typical cross from the right. Question 38. Wrexham joined which international body in 2024? That would be the European Club Association. So anyone who picked the European Disney Association, sorry to say that is wrong. Question 39. Who did Wrexham face in their final pre-season game? That was Fleetwood Town, a 1-0 win for Wrexham against Fleetwood at the racecourse. And question 40, Wrexham were fined for failing to control their players at the end of the defeat to Birmingham. They were fined £3,750 for that. 40 questions. How are you getting on?
I think a lot of people on that last question would have gone for the 4830 because it doesn't seem like the answer you'd make up.
There you go. And I made it up.
It's a good bluff.
I made it up. There you go.
Question 41. Ryan Barnett got a hat-trick of assists in Wrexham's home win against Northampton Town. Question 42. Which piece of merchandise was Dolly Parton sent? She was sent a Wrexham scarf, and it'll probably all come back to you now. It all makes sense. I couldn't think of it at the time. Question 43. As part of Wrexham women's tour of North America, which of these teams did they play? It was SoCal FC. 44. The question we expect all of you to get correct. The family that is invested in the team and the club is the Allen family. And question 45. Liverpool's first team, as well as Paul Muller and Ollie Palmer, went to visit a Wrexham fan in Alderhay Children's Hospital. His name is Archie.
What a legend. Question 46. Which player was appointed Wrexham captain for 2024-25? That is James McLean, obviously. Question 47. Rob McElhenney put an offer on the table for Gareth Bale, former Wales and Real Madrid superstar. I'm not sure that'll ever come off the table, but Gareth Bale, that is who Rob McElhenney was pitching for. Question 48. Wrexham hired a new head of communications. That is Robert Faulkner. He's come over from UEFA. He's now started work as well. Question 49. Danny DeVito watched Wrexham at Cosm in LA against Barnsley. Very, very recent. You should get that one right, I think. And question 50. Which of these celebrities did not watch Wrexham at the racecourse in 2024? The answer is Blake Lively. Been a busy year. She's been doing her films. Ryan's only been over a few times, and he has come over without Blake.
Question 51. Rotherham boss Steve Evans likened Wrexham to the Harlem Globetrotters. Fantastic.
Very good quote.
I was hoping he'd liken us to the team. I can't remember what they call the team from Space Jam. I don't know what their name is, though. Question 52. What was Wrexham's final away trip of 2024? Very recent. You were there. Bristol Rovers. And that's it. The Big Fat Quiz of 2024 has come to an end. Let us know how you got on in the comments below. Comment on the Spotify episode as well. Maybe we will see. I'm not going to say a prize for the winner because anyone could say they got anything in that
There's
one.
No prize.
They always know Anthony Ford's appearance record and those stats. But yeah, thank you very much. Let us know the feedback as well. Do you want multiple choice for 2025? Do you want a quiz for 2025?
Oh, come on. Don't say that way. I thought that was fun. I thought there was a lot in there that jog people's memory. Dolly Parton, the Wrexham some Wrexham signings. Who was the first signing? The Andy Holt row.
I just think there's going to be a mix of some people who do like multiple choice and people like me who wouldn't want multiple choice.
I'm usually anti multiple choice, but we listened to everybody who played it last year, and they said some of the questions were just far too hard. Maybe next year we do a little bit of both, but this time, 52 questions. We've given you multiple choice. The correct answer is in there somewhere. I made some of them up. I made some of the guesses up, the other options. So see how you get on. See if you can find my bluffs or see if you fall for them, and let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for playing. I've had a lot of fun doing it again, and I get a whole year to think of more questions because I couldn't do that regularly. I couldn't be a quiz master regularly, Rich.
We've got maybe the New Year's resolution is we start thinking of questions as the year goes on. So that by the end of the year, we've already got a list of questions rather than you scrambling WhatsApp and me saying, we've got 4 spaces, what we want to do. And
see, now you've taken everyone behind the curtain. End the show before you reveal that I didn't actually do it all on my own and I don't get all the credit.
But yeah, thank you so much for all of you. We hope you've had an amazing festive period, whatever you've been doing, whoever you've been with. It's an honour for us that you choose to share any of it with us on Rob Ryan Red. We will be back in the first week
in
of
the
January.
new year. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Have a great
Happy New Year. This is the New Year bonanza, isn't it?
Yeah.
In 2025. Will it hold another promotion for Wrexham? It sounds ridiculous, but why not, hey? Why not Wrexham? That was what Rob and Ryan said in the first place when they took over. why not Wrexham in 2025 as well? Thank you so much to Red 10 People Development. Thank you to Wrexham-based band Hypnotic. But mostly, thank you to you. 2024 has been amazing. 2025, it's going to be even better. Take care, and we'll see you again next time.
A Wrexham AFC podcast with Nathan Salt and Rich Bay.